Hi, everyone. My name is Tiffany Green-Williams, and I am the founder of Style by Tipp, an image consulting and brand styling company in the DMV. I'm based in the DMV, but I work everywhere. Wherever the work is there is wherever the work is, I will be there. So my work my work centers on the relationship between style, identity, confidence, and how we show up with intention in the world. So I'm super excited you guys are joining for this conversation because I feel like it's very, very timely and much needed. So today's discussion is called "It's Not Just Hair." So in this discussion, we're going to explore ways that our hair care, self-care, and our identity and influence and how we see ourselves and move with confidence, all in regards to our hair. So the space is meant to be open and honest and grounding. I'm super excited to have two women here with me they're gonna bring a whole lot of depth and perspective to this dialogue. You guys can ask questions. There's like a little question for you to ask questions. I think it looks like a comment box, so you guys can use that. I'll try my best to monitor the chat as we start to go along. But yes, I want to bring in the guests. So let's see if Instagram continues to let me be great and bring them up on the screen with
It
me.
should work. All right. We got one out of two. All right. You all on here.
Hi.
All
Hey,
right. I wasn't sure.
all
Wasn't sure
right.
if it was gonna go. Hello, hello, hello. So I want to welcome everyone to my wonderful guest. I'm going to start with Bridget Robertson. She's on my left of the screen with the furry hats. Bridget Robertson is a native of Baltimore, Maryland. She works in the mental health field as a licensed clinical counselor, mentoring youth and serving both the homeless and underserved communities. Bridget is deeply passionate about supporting women and girls who silently navigate untreated trauma that affects their emotional wellness. Through her work, she focuses on bridging the gaps between spirituality and therapy, creating space for healing that honors the whole person. Welcome, Bridget. Thank you for
Thank
joining.
you for having me.
Yes. And my lovely lady in red is Binta Mamadou. She's a licensed business attorney. So I know a couple of the people joining. You can plug her in for that too. Business attorney and beauty entrepreneur, as well as founder of Visions Braid Bar, a premium full service natural hair salon redefining the braiding experience in the Washington, D.C. area. So for all the people that need braiding services and constantly complaining, I know I've got a few, I'm not going to point anybody out, but I know a couple of people online we've had conversations about our experiences in the braid shops. This is the woman to go to. She's more than a decade of legal experience and a strong commitment to empowering Black women through beauty and business. She's created Visions Braid Bar to offer Black women high quality, hassle-free braiding services in a stylish and comfortable environment, providing a full range of natural hair care from braids to locks. Although her path to beauty industry has been non-traditional, Binta's work has been grounded in authenticity, braided through years of experience, academic rigor, of course, being a lawyer, and lifelong passion for elevating Black women through care and craft. So welcome, Binta. Thank you for
Thank
joining.
you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. All right. So let's get into the things. Get into the things. So I'm grateful to have the both of you guys here. So I'm gonna start with. What am I gonna start with? Bring up my questions. Sorry, guys.
No
So
problem.
yes. So first question is, how has your relationship with your hair evolved over time, and what has that journey taught you about yourself? And I'm gonna direct this to Binta.
Hmm. My relationship with hair. So it's interesting. I'm in the natural hair care business. However, I'm one of those people just growing up, everyone knew that you couldn't do my hair. So like the kid who like fights with their parent or whomever's doing their hair because it was always just a painful experience. So as a child, having 4C hair in an
Mm-hmm.
environment where that was not necessarily viewed as beautiful, I didn't grow up thinking that my hair was beautiful. And I think some of
Mm-hmm.
this is only now coming back to me as we talk about this conversation because I hadn't necessarily reflected on it. So I hadn't thought about my hair as beautiful, never really did as a kid. It was
Mm-hmm.
short, it didn't grow very long. It was always a painful experience. So I think I probably associated it with just like a level of pain, like every experience, like my hair
Mm-hmm.
getting washed, not using proper conditioners and detanglers and all of that. So I think that was, I don't remember having particularly positive memories
Mm-hmm.
of that, of my hair. And then at some point, like so many Black parents back in the 80s and 90s, when a child's hair is hard to deal with, hard to deal with in quotation marks, what do? You get a
Mm-hmm.
relaxer. So very early
Mm-hmm.
on in the process, I ended up getting a relaxer, so those experiences weren't positive because your hair gets burned and all of these things. So it's interesting. So I think as a kid, teenager, I don't remember necessarily loving my hair. I don't remember thinking it was beautiful, objectively or maybe even subjectively. And I probably started falling in love more with my hair and myself when I cut my hair in my
Mm.
early yeah, in my early
Same.
20s, because of like the relaxers and all the damages that my hair had um resulted in having because of all the things that I had done to it. I was forced to just cut it as like a boy short, as
Mhm.
I think the New Yorkers call it Caesars or something like that. So I had no
Mm-hmm.
hair.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's when I really started falling in love with my hair and how it fit me. Because at that point, I couldn't hide behind anything. When
Mm-hmm.
I was walking around, you could see my full face, you could see everything about me
Mm-hmm.
because there was nothing like this big old wig. There was nothing to cover my hair or my face. So I think that's kind of how the evolution was. It started off really negative, and I really fell in love with it when I relinquished the level of control over what felt like it was holding me prisoner, which was like trying to grow hair, trying to get my hair to look a way that it didn't naturally look. So I, had to cut it. And that's when I think I discovered and really fell in love with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think your experience is it feels, and I know for us specifically, the three of us, we talked about
Yeah.
it a little bit, all share similar feelings as we've grown up. I know for myself, I just wanted my hair to look like what everyone else's hair looked like,
Yes.
and particularly in media. So whatever I needed to do to get it to look like whoever I was looking at, I can't even think of a specific example right now, like whether I was perming it or going to the Dominicans and having them fry my hair,
Mhm.
which they did,
Right.
begging my mom for a relaxer when I should not have ever gotten one. But begging her to get one because the kids were saying I had Oprah hair because I had it's
Mhm.
still big, really big, thick
Yeah.
hair. And so I try to, blow dry it. But it wouldn't be straight. So I would just go to work with this big like blowout and they would call me Oprah. And I didn't know how to braid. And I also really didn't really like braids at that time either. And so I just wanted my hair to look like everyone else's and I wanted it to be easier. And it wasn't until, probably, I want to say maybe like 8 years ago or so where I started being comfortable with natural styles. And honestly, it wasn't even until I started seeing my hairstylist, shout out to Brittany, I think she's on here as well, which might be maybe 4 years ago, where I started being comfortable with my actual hair. We're
Mhm.
still on a journey to me wearing it out in this natural state. We're still there, but I'm way closer than I ever thought that I would have been. And part of that is, due to her constantly, helping me relearn things about it. And so curious, for you, Bridget, how was your relationship with your hair as a kid, or even a young adult, and has it changed to who you are and how you are now, how you feel about it now?
Yeah, so I too had a negative experience with my hair growing up. I was
Mm-hmm.
labeled tender-headed,
Mm-hmm.
nappy. My hair, you couldn't deal with it. So I was introduced to the hot comb, the one that you would put on the
Oh
stove,
yes, yes.
blow. So I was
Let me hold my
introduced,
ears at a
yeah,
trauma.
hold your ears, and then it would pop. So I was
Mm-hmm.
introduced to that, I think as early as 5, and I
Mm-hmm.
did not
Oh,
love
wow.
my hair. So the opposite, I learned to braid. So I was the girl in the block that braided your hair. So because of that, I wanted to always keep my hair looking semi nice, but I didn't have the tools to make sure it was being taken care of. So I dealt with a lot of breakage,
My hair
Mm,
would fall out. It was a horrible experience. And then in my 20s, I cut my hair. I decided to go natural. I haven't had a relaxer. It may have been over 15 years. And I love my natural hair. I had to grow. It was also an evolution for me. I had to grow to
mm-hmm.
love not just my hair but myself. And
Mm,
Yeah.
because of that, my hair it grew. It grew in well right now it's cutting the ball, but it grew in the last 3 or 5 years. I'm so happy. So
awesome.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so my next question is something we also all probably had our individual conversations about, but how can we challenge the idea that professionalism requires a certain look or texture to be accepted? So I know that we've all discussed, and I've had this conversation multiple times in my BU brand new events with some of my clients, just myself, how I would not wear a natural hairstyle or braids or anything that I considered
Mhm.
ethnic while interviewing. I would
Mhm.
not do it. I would take my whatever the style I had in, I would take it out. I'd wear the wig or straighten it. And then after I got the
Mhm.
job, I like, hey y'all,
Yeah.
I'm here now, but I would never interview that way. And actually for a long time, I wouldn't even wear those styles at work.
Wow.
I'm usually one of one or have been one of one, only black woman, only woman, only black person. And so I felt like it drew attention to me.
Mhm.
And I just wanted to, be accepted and mesh in, with my counterparts. And I didn't want to be more ethnic or be seen as more ethnic because for them, that's a negative thing. So I used to not be comfortable wearing braids or anything like that because I didn't feel like it was as professional. And I don't even know what caused my specific wake up call with that. It's just one day I was like, maybe because of security in your career, I'm established. Maybe it's age, maybe it's a
Mm.
combination, but I was like, I don't have to do this. I know how to do the job. And if you're not going to give me the job or you're going to treat me differently because of my hair and not based on my work, then I don't need to be here anyway. And
Yeah.
once I had that shift, like I'm wear my hair the way that I want to. So for, Binta, how do you challenge that idea? What do you tell your clients when they're concerned or they're worried about wearing their natural hair or just a natural hairstyle or anything in that vein, to in a professional space?
Yeah. So, Bridget kind of touched on this notion earlier when she said something to the effect of, um, when she grew to love her hair, and then she said to also love myself the way I was. So hair is just an extension of us. Our hair can change. Like, honestly, if you'd seen me earlier today, I was wearing my hair short. Then we decided to do this live. I was like, I don't know. I'm feeling like a big, like I want to make a statement. So I look
Yeah.
at my
Hmm.
hair as, same way I look at my earrings. Like, in some ways I look at it as an accessory.
Accessory.
But
Mm,
I
Mm.
think ultimately you become comfortable with your hair, which in some ways is just an accessory for so many of us, when you accept yourself. So then I'll
mm,
let the therapist talk about this later on. But I honestly feel like there's something about when you love yourself and when you accept yourself that makes you like everything else about yourself. And of course, we're not perfect. So then you may not think your hair is perfect because maybe it's not all the time. Yeah, maybe it's like actually a really difficult experience. Like some people have like super, super, super long and thick hair, which is
Yeah.
beautiful. But then they're like, yeah, as beautiful as it is, it takes me 5 hours to go through detangling,
mm-hmm,
washing, and styling. So
mm-hmm,
I get that. And I think for me, what I often tell clients and I challenge them, and also like, especially because I do come from a very like corporate background. So when women
mm-hmm,
come to the salon and they're like, well, at my job, I can't do this. I'm like, well, what do you do? And then they tell me what they do. I'm like, well, I did the same thing. I'm in that same experience. When I started Visions Braid Bar, I was still
Wow.
working in big law. So I'm
Mm.
like, yeah, so everything you're experiencing, this is not me just telling you this as someone who's never had that experience. I did all of my interviews, like literally depends on how my hair looked that month, that week, or whatever, because I didn't have a choice. Like
mm.
my hair was short. It is what it is. Like there's literally nothing that I can do to make it grow before this interview. I wear, and when your hair is like, it's literally, there's not.
So
It really
this is
isn't.
what you're gonna get. This is it.
No, it really is. And even like in terms of wearing wigs, if you've ever had your hair very short, wigs are very uncomfortable. And I mean, in the
Mm-hmm.
sense that you're walking
Mm,
like, okay, when someone tries to hug you, I'm like all tense because I'm like, this thing might slide off because they're just keeping it real because there's nothing to anchor it.
so
Because when your hair is like boy cut, and
yeah.
back in the day they didn't have the glueless wigs and all of that, there's literally nothing to anchor it, so it was just like too stressful. So I'm just like, and then it looked unnatural, depending on the wig, and especially when you don't have short enough hair to like do the leave out and all of that. So I really felt like I didn't have an option, and I didn't have an option. I didn't want to exercise the option, so I therefore showed up as myself. And with women, I always tell them how much of this, while it is true, and we cannot deny that some of these thoughts exist in corporate
Mm-hmm.
America and all other spaces that we're in. I think there's also to a significant level, I think we also self-censor because there
Mm,
are times, and not without denying the weight that might be getting put on us, there are times when we are the ones who are making the decision to not do X, Y, or Z thing because it's, I don't want to say it's in our heads, but it is in some ways. Like the
Mm-hmm.
fact that you don't accept yourself stops you
mm,
from showing up a certain way. So you're not even
mm-hmm.
giving the other person the opportunity for you to realize whether that particular person would have had a bias against you because you had locks or
Mm-hmm.
because you had 4C
Mm-hmm.
hair or whatever. You just
Yeah.
assume that they will, so therefore you don't show up as yourself.
Mm.
So,
And can I say
This.
one thing?
Mhm.
Just
yeah.
and like you said, I think the assumption is rooted in how you were raised. Like for instance, for me, I was always called like nappy headed or tender headed. So those
Mm,
words were deeply rooted. So the older I became, I thought that my hair was unmanageable, which was not the truth. So we
mm,
had to, so like I said, going back to loving yourself, I had to literally like pull up those lies about my hair. If you know, because we're talking about hair in specific. My hair is manageable. My hair is beautiful. My hair is 4C. My hair is coarse. My hair gets
mm,
bushy in humidity. You know, so I had to learn that that was okay instead of it
mm,
being a negative thing, if that makes sense.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
Complete,
yeah.
Yeah.
And
completely.
Charnel's comment that we've internalized the messages, the
Okay.
negative messages about our hair, which is very true. One thing I do think that helps with um reframing natural styles, I'll say natural styles as professional is being creative about it. That's
Mm-hmm.
one reason I really like the Bailey sisters.
Mm,
Because
Yes.
they do all the
yeah,
things with their locks or with wigs. And
yeah,
I don't think I have another example that I've seen in media, um, where I've seen such versatility like that. I didn't know both my parents have locks. I didn't know you could do all of that. I
yeah,
didn't, and I didn't know you could still wear wigs if you had locks. I didn't know they could do all these styles. I didn't know they could curl that way. I had no idea until I saw them. And Megan Good does it too, with the
yeah.
faux locks,
That's
with the
yeah.
faux locks. She does style them too.
Yeah.
But I didn't even know, and but my parents didn't do all of that
Okay.
stuff with them, with their locks. They just wore them
Yeah,
down. So I think being creative, which should be fun, but I think being
Mhm.
creative with the styles also can help, as well. Danny says, learning that your hair is exactly what you say it is the hardest thing to understand.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yes, absolutely. So in that same vein, Bridget, what techniques or mindset shifts, have helped you speak to your clients, or what do you tell your clients in order to help them sort of reframe how they think about themselves, hair included, when they're struggling with that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So oftentimes I like to use the
Mm,
root system like I just previously mentioned. Everything has a root, right?
mm-hmm,
So the way we view ourselves, the way we show up in rooms, the way we show up at work, even on this live, the way we show up is deeply rooted in the things that we were taught in our younger years. So if
Mhm.
I have a client who is having self-esteem issues or just trying to learn who they are, And to figure out what their identity is, I ask them specific questions that may have happened in their childhood, trauma experiences. A lot of us have had severe trauma with our hair, like you said, relaxing it,
Mm.
waking up with a bald spot, knowing like if you bleached your hair and then the next day relax it, it's going to fall out. So, and I'm saying that because that happened to me in my
Oh
20s, like because
boy.
yes, I
Yikes.
didn't know. And
Yeah.
well, I probably was a little younger than that because yeah. But anywho, back to the way that I deal with my clients with CBT, which is cognitive behavior therapy.
Hmm.
I am a person that loves to get to the root of things. Like, why do you respond this way? Why do you show up this way? Who do you really think you are? And I believe wholeheartedly, if you know who you are, everything else will flow in your life. The way you speak to yourself, the way you speak to others, you have to really come out of agreement with all the lies that you may have heard when you were younger.
Yeah.
Mm. Do
Mm.
you have any small, like everyday sort of practices that help with that, whether it's helps you specifically or something that you also advise to your clients?
So I made a choice to not believe all of my thoughts. So we have
Mm.
Mm.
intrusive thoughts. We have thoughts that as soon as we open our eyes, we're thinking of something, whether it's, did I turn the stove off? I didn't work out enough yesterday. I didn't
Uh-huh.
respond to that email. So we literally have the power to control our thoughts. Some of us, if we deal with certain anxieties or depression, it may feel a little troublesome, but it's literally like waking up every day and making it an effort. So me personally, I make it an effort to speak positive to myself. I don't wait for someone to do that, right? Because if I wait for that to happen, then I'll have these unwarranted expectations. Will then put me back into an anxious space. So I
Mm.
wake up in the morning and I'll say, I love you, Bridget. I'll say, I'm not feeling good, but what can I do to feel better? I might say, today's going to be a terrific day before my feet even hit the floor. I did create,
Mm.
shameless plug. I created a deck of cards and they have journal prompts and quotes on there that you can literally say to yourself to get yourself out of any anxious moods or feelings. So I do
Mm-hmm.
believe in speaking life to myself. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I go to the gym. I believe when you when you're active, it really helps with your dopamine, your serotonin, all those things, all the natural chemicals that our body already produces. So I do believe in going to the gym. I do believe in eating healthier as much as I can. I do have a sweet tooth, but for the most
Same.
part,
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna lie. I had a piece of candy right before I logged onto the meeting. So so I do believe
Yeah.
that number one, it starts with me. But that was something again that I had to learn because,
Mhm.
and I'm not saying my entire childhood was negative, but for the most
Mhm.
part, when it came to my hair, it was a negative experience. So
Yeah.
speaking life to yourself,
Mm-hmm.
caring for your body,
Mm-hmm.
debunking the lies that your mind might tell you because if it's just like if you're eating junk all day. So if you're taking in all the negative quote unquote junky thoughts, then that is how you're going to show up. So you have to know in your truest self that some of those thoughts that you're having are not true, and you have to combat those thoughts.
Yeah.
Mm. Actively. Okay. No, that's super helpful. I like that it feels sort of bite-sized, so but maybe it's not as much when you go to actually try it. So we'll see. I'll report back. Um,
Okay.
so I don't know if you guys are familiar with Jackiana. She's one of my favorite influencers to follow. And one thing I noticed that she does, that I kind of started doing it just a little bit, is she really romanticizes a lot of her hair experiences, washing her
Mm,
hair, detangling her hair, getting braids. So if, for example, she has like a braid person, they come to her home and like she
Mhm.
just creates like her own environment and I actually copied that. I had a braider come and I was like, oh, this makes it a lot better because it's not
mm,
enjoyable for me to get braids. I don't like sitting there that long and I'm
mm.
also tender-headed and I just want it to be over. So I was wondering, um, I lost my question. Oh, Binta, if you had any sort of maintenance steps or processes like that help romanticize nurturing or taking care of your hair. So something that combines something that needs to be done for your hair, some sort of protective or nurturing process, but something that also makes you feel less that you're managing your hair and it's like a task, and more of, okay, this is something I want to do. If you had any sort of maintenance tips that you had for that.
Sure. I think a couple of things I'll say. So, first is that I really do believe that when you love something or when you care for something, you take good care of it. You
Mm.
become a good steward of it because
Hmm.
you're happy to have this thing, whatever that thing is. And I really look at hair in that same way. So, if you know you have whatever type of hair you have, it actually doesn't matter. One of the things that I never do is like, and it's crazy, but I never go to sleep without a bonnet. And
Mm.
like my younger cousins will like laugh at me, or a bonnet or a scarf, because when they come to my house and we're like getting ready to go to bed, I will put a bonnet on hair that's like this long. Because it's maybe because it's so ingrained in me, but I'm like, I don't want my hair, hitting this like not, this cottony pillow, and the little bit of hair I have will, like fall out. So I'm taking care. I'm like, I don't care what it is. God says like, if you take care of the little bit that I give you, I will give you more.
That's
So I am
good.
like, I'm working towards getting my, the mid back hair. So I'll wear a scarf all the time. When I'm not all the time, when I'm going to sleep, or a bonnet, because I just think it's so important. That way, when you're waking up in the morning, you're not waking up extremely stressed, or, you're not waking up anxious because you wake up and now your hair is all matted up. Well, why is it
Hmm.
matted? Because you went to sleep, you didn't take care of it before going to sleep. So I think that's one of my tips for everyone.
I love
When you
that.
take care of something, take really good care of it. So that means throughout, so that's when you go to sleep, as a sleep routine. On a weekly basis, it is also important, especially for most Black people, not all of them, but for many of us, our hair needs moisture, even when we have braids. So I tell
Mm.
our clients, when we wear protective styles, for many women, it becomes out of sight, out of mind, meaning your hair is
Hmm.
under these braids, under this wig, so you completely forget about it. Now, you're wearing a wig, and we've seen videos where people's wigs fall off and like it looks like death
Mm.
is about to happen because they're so scared and anxious.
Yeah.
So my whole thing is like, it doesn't matter what's under that wig, under those braids, take care of it.
Hmm.
So, which means you can wash your hair, when you have braids. Well, you should wash your hair, I should say. You should continue to moisturize it,
Mhm.
whether it's in braids or not. So, getting a spray bottle with water, favorite
Mhm.
essential oils, some leave-in conditioners, and just like spraying your roots keeps them moisturized, and just keeps kind of gardening, or watering this little garden that you have. So, that's a couple of things right there.
That's good.
Love that. I especially love the note about the bonnet and the scarf. I've
Mhm.
fallen off on that. I don't know why. I think it's just a laziness. I don't always do it, and I get mad at myself because my hair wakes up because in a state where I didn't do it. And I love
Yeah.
that also, to be intentional and as a moment of fun, because you can go and switch it up. And of course, I'm a stylist, so this could be, even if you're going to bed, this could be a little moment for you to have your cute little scarf on. Which scarf am I going to wear tonight? And that could be a whole, so you could turn that into a thing, which I'm saying that for me. So anyone else can adopt that if they want to, because that will make me, now that I'm thinking about it that way, because I have a nighttime routine, and I'm like, put on
Mm.
my little stuff and my skincare and my little, night outfit. And if I think about the scarf as part of that, I'm probably more likely to do it. So I really, really love that. I
Can
also
I
had a
add?
follow.
Mhm.
I had a
I was
follow-up
just
question. Oh,
I
go
was
ahead, go
just
ahead.
going to add one quick thing there. So, for example, you just mentioned, from knowing you, I know you're a planner,
Hmm.
and so when you want something to come out a certain way, you prepare for it to come out
Hmm.
that particular way. So I think hair can be looked at the same way.
Mm.
So
Okay.
let's control, like, so part of like taking control over your image, over how you show up in the world, over how you wake up, is doing the work that's necessary so that this thing, whatever that thing is, so in this case, your hair, comes out
Hmm.
the way you want it to look in the morning. So that you don't wake up and that your first 30 minutes of the morning are anxiety ridden over
Yeah,
Yes.
trying to like figure out all these things. There's a lot of prep work that can be done in preparation for the end result that you're seeking.
absolutely. Absolutely. Um, you mentioned, I heard this before, and every time I hear it, I'm like, how do you do that? Washing your hair with braids.
Mm-hmm.
How am I supposed to wash my hair with braids? And how do I do that and not mess up my parts?
The parts won't mess up. So what you would do, literally, just honestly, no, they won't. Oh, sorry. Yeah, the parts won't mess up. So you wash your hair the same way that, I mean, you wash your braids the same way you would just wash regular hair. Now I tell people, now don't get all aggressive, like, but so it's more of like, I'm like, be gentle. So then when we're talking about like, how do you, again, take care of something you love? You're not
Mhm,
rough with it. You're gentle, you're soft and all of that. But, I get in the shower and just the key things are to get your scalp, the root of it.
mhm,
So literally just like run shampoo through it and scrub it, and you'd be surprised. And I tell people oftentimes, do it when you're at home and you're not
Mm-hmm.
planning on leaving for like until the next day, because after you wash it, and then you can also put conditioner on your roots and then rinse
mhm,
out the conditioner as it starts to get dry. To respond to your question about dealing with the parts or even like the edges and all of that,
mhm,
before
mhm.
you go to sleep, if you put if you moisturize it and then oil your scalp and you put a scarf on it, not a bonnet but a scarf that actually ties down, the next morning when you wake up, you'll see that your hair, like your edges will be flat, the
Mm-hmm.
parts will look clean and all of that. So that it kind of like tames them back up by you having tied a scarf on it.
Okay. I
But you'd be
see.
surprised. They don't now I will say, when you wash your braids, you might experience some slippage. So meaning like, if
Mm-hmm.
your hair is if your hair is short around the edges, so let's say that in the back of your at like the back of at the nape of your neck, um if those 2 or 3 braids fall, please don't call your braiding shop and ask for a refund. It is like, it's okay. Like, it was like just a few braids and that's fine. So like, that's not an abnormal thing. And it doesn't mean the person did a bad job. On your head,
Mhm,
you may have 150 braids. If three
mhm.
or four of them fall out, at the 6 week mark or the 4 week mark, nothing was wrong with the underlying service.
Got you. Okay. No, that's helpful. I'll try the next time I get braids. I've never done it and I've heard that before and I kind of just went in one ear out the other because I'm like, how am I supposed to do that? But all right. I do want to get to some of the questions that I
Yeah,
see.
so some
I
questions.
saw, I want to get in order. What was the first one? Danielle, advice for girlies who want to be creative with hair in corporate
Mhm.
spaces. I know we touched on that just a little bit, earlier, Danny, but we can repeat, or add something to that if you want to take that, Binta.
One thing, so during COVID, it was interesting. So a lot of women who worked in corporate spaces. So my shop opened in 2020, a month before COVID. When we reopened, what I noticed was that a lot of women, so Black women, which is our primary market, our primary client base, a lot of women were using hair colors. So one way to be creative with your
Mm.
braids is to get away from color 1B. 1B is just like the
Ah!
natural black. Like that's everyone wears 1B. So you could do 1B 30. You can do 1B 30, 1B 27. You don't have, and you can have your braider blend different colors so that, we're just adding enough to make you feel comfortable. So one way to do is to do through colors. Another way, so if you're still in this braiding space, is through hair jewelry. During COVID, I
Oh,
mean, during
yes.
COVID, a lot of women,
Mhm.
and I was kind of sad because when people started going back to the office, I noticed that the use of hair jewelry went down. The colors that they were using, and this is, I noticed a correlation. I definitely saw that it was going down because I think
Hmm.
when people started going back into the office, there was this sense that now I have to like scale back the way I look. But I definitely think the colors, the hair jewelry, and you can also play with styles. So instead of always doing square parts, you can do triangle parts. Someone mentioned doing a peekaboo. I agree with that. So a peekaboo would be like, let's say that you did the bottom row of braids purple. One of my favorite clients at the shop often does purple, and she's my favorite
Hmm.
because she pushes the envelope in a way that I don't even push the envelope. But she's a
Mm.
creative person and she works in a corporate space. But whatever she always uses purple, so you can do a purple peekaboo and and get your 1B at the top if you wanted to. And then
Awesome.
also, if you wanted to do cornrows, you can do different like actual designs and styles and all.
Okay. Next question. I think Charnel may be referring to the wash day. How do you deal with heaviness? Can you wash it in ponytails or something?
Yeah, she can. That's a really good idea. So that because when water touches braids, obviously, like it weighs down. So one way to do it is like you can either put it in a ponytail or section it off, maybe into like four different sections, and braid those sections and then wash it in that state. And then dry it
Okay.
immediately. So like as soon as you're done, like get a towel in there and get as much of the water out of it so that it doesn't continue to weigh down.
Did you sit under a dryer or air dry is fine?
Most people, I would assume, don't have dryers at home, so air drying is totally fine. Which is one of the reasons I was saying to do it when you know you're not about to leave the house for like the rest of the day. So what after you wash it, you could put it up in like a high bun, or a high ponytail, and that takes care of the issue she just mentioned about the braids weighing too much because they're
Okay.
wet.
Okay.
Nice.
Did I get everyone? Yes, Danielle, do some color.
Yeah.
Burgundy, 27, 33.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
30.
350.
Yes.
350. See,
Yeah. Listen, they got
I'm
all kinds of colors. Like, I
I'm
think
kind
it's
of like new to color myself a little bit. I did blonde hair for the first time like 2 years ago in my big
Wow.
okay.
age. So I'm still, and I don't think I've just started doing 27 in my braids. And I
Okay.
do it, I mostly do it under,
Yeah.
and maybe like a couple highlights, but I mostly do it under, not a full peekaboo, but just like a little bit. But I've
Mhm.
never done like all color or anything like that. Maybe one day. Did I get all the
One day.
questions? Hey, hi everybody. Okay, if you're just joining, we were just answering some questions. All right, so getting
Someone
back.
someone
Hmm?
asked a question. Someone said
Yeah.
something about any lock dolls in the room, advice for
Oh,
lint
let's see.
management.
Oh, anyone have?
So I don't have locks, but we do locks at Visions, and
Hmm.
you can Google this. But there are lint brushes. There's a
Uh,
company that the name is on the tip of my tongue. It's a black-owned company. They carry them. They used to be called Peculiar Roots, and so if you Google Peculiar Roots, it'll probably take you to their new name. But they have a lint brush, so you can actually like brush your locks in order to get the lint out of them.
Is a specific lint brush for locks?
For lots. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, this is
How
not
cool is
like,
that?
yes. Yeah, no, exactly, isn't it? But yes, so that's something.
nice.
Awesome. I will get that. That's a good stocking stuffer for my husband.
Oh, yeah,
He
that's
has
a,
locks too. Very long, beautiful locks that I love.
yeah.
Charnel does purple and blues in her hair. We know. If anybody finds the link, feel free to not gatekeep and go ahead and share it in the chat if anybody looks that up while
Mhm.
they're on the call. Okay. Making sure. Oh, okay. So we'll have a couple more questions before we are to wrap up.
Yeah.
So Bridget, when it comes to reframing just the narrative around hair, what are suggestions or what do you think can be done to shift the overall narrative around wearing our hair in natural styles or just, as is from something that has to be fixed from negative to something positive, something we celebrated. Just anything that's sort of a more broader sort
Mhm.
of solution that you think, something you think corporate stations should start doing, maybe the way it is talked about, who talks about it, anything like that.
Yeah. So I didn't work. I don't work in corporate America. However, I've had conversations with my family members and some friends about, the stigmatization that's connected to black hair in corporate America or just black hair in white America. My thing
Mm-hmm.
is because black hair is so versatile, we have the freedom to do whatever we want with our hair. Like Binta said, we just have to be creative. We have to be able to just knock down those barriers that are connected to our hair. And Pinterest, Google, Instagram, like you said, the sisters that take their locks, and I love their hairstyles as well. I think
Hmm.
it's so amazing how they can, one day they have a ponytail, and then the next day they have braids, and the next day they have a
Hmm.
bob, and I'm like, wow, that is so amazing. And they have so much confidence, and I think when you exude confidence, it shows in the way you walk, the way you talk, when you show up. Like sometimes people won't even know that you don't like something about yourself, because when you walk in the room, you don't allow those insecurities to show. So
Mm.
I think, number one, again, going back to knowing who we are, right? And
Hmm.
then being creative, knowing that our hair is not negative, is such a beautiful thing, and we can do so much with it. And I love watching fashion shows, and how, the stylists like you come up with different creative ways for the models to wear their hair, and how the hair then influences their outfit, and how it's just such an beautiful, it's, to me, it's so beautiful. I just love to
Hmm.
see how now we are taking out of the we're taking back what is rightfully ours, and our hair is our crown. It's our crown,
Hmm.
and it's our glory, and we have the
Hmm.
opportunity to really, model that in a positive way.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you. Danielle says, I am the only Black woman in my company, not my department, my company.
Ooh,
Wow.
Jeez. Hair
my.
is a thing in my career. I have been there, and it looks
Wow.
like you have locks. So yeah.
That I can
I
imagine.
I can only imagine. I definitely think part of the help to shifting the narrative is how, like, what we're talking about is how we show up
Mm-hmm.
in these spaces and show
Yeah.
up intentionally. Um, I think even any one of us going into a space that has a culture around hair that says your hair has to look this way, and
Yeah.
going against that, I think
Yeah.
anytime that happens, it helps shift the narrative.
It does.
So like one thing for me as a stylist that I come into a lot is when a look is supposed to be sleek or classy
Mm.
or polished, and those words normally do not correlate with a natural hairstyle, and that
No.
is not accurate, that you cannot have a sleek or polished look, um, and have a natural hairstyle. And so I will a lot of times intentionally marry those things, especially
Yeah.
if it's a natural, client that wears her hair naturally. I'm not going to tell you to go straighten your hair so that
Mm.
you can wear this, this gown. No, we're going to style you in this black tie outfit with your hair in this state. And I think even those moments help to shift the narratives or the stereotypes or the language around what's supposed to be,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
we know it to actually be. Danielle, I love head wraps, but I feel self-conscious about wearing them for exactly the reason you're saying.
Yeah.
Same, same.
And
I
because
don't,
we oh
go ahead.
Now, I was going to say, and because we have people like you, Tiffany, that are in the field, like that are styling us, it makes us feel comfortable wearing our natural hair. Like you said, you can have on a suit and have a beautiful afro ponytail. You can have
Yeah.
on a suit and have cornrows with maybe a
Absolutely.
hint of blue or purple. But because we are knocking down those barriers, unfortunately,
Yes.
I'm gonna use one of my grandmothers for example. She does not like afros, and she'll make a big fuss about it.
Mm-hmm.
However, my son, he wears his hair in an afro, but he stands firm on his hair. He loves his hair,
All
and
right. Okay,
he
young
does
king.
not allow that to, make him feel negative. And I'm so grateful for that, because I did help, of course I was helping him build his self-esteem, and I was letting
Yeah.
him know, like, you have very thick hair. It's not a bad thing. And I'm teaching him how to oil his hair, like Benta said, comb it, brush it, tie it up if you need to do
That's
something with
nice.
it to take care of it, and and it's growing.
How old is he?
That's beautiful.
15.
Okay, that's beautiful.
Oh, that
Yeah.
is beautiful. That is beautiful. I'm glad he's learning that. That's
Me
awesome.
too.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to ask the final question to you both.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give anyone on this call, any of your clients, just women and men, in general that are still learning how to embrace both who they are and how they look, however their hair is showing up, and they're just struggling with just accepting that image. What advice would you give them? Binta, I'll start with you.
Right. So while I am in the hair industry, I would
Mm-hmm.
say that you really need to unpack it. And
Mm.
you would unpack it with someone like Bridget. You can
Mm-hmm.
always come to us, and, all we're working on is the outside. But really, what
Yeah.
needs to be worked on is the inside. And both can happen at the same time. And often, both items, both side, like both works. I know that's like not, you don't say both, but like both
Mm-hmm.
things have to happen together. But I
Yeah.
really, really do think that the inside is like the part that's so much more important than the outside, because the outside changes. We age,
Mm.
we deal with like hair loss. So for example, having
Mhm.
short hair is not always simply because your natural hair won't grow. If you are a Black woman or just a woman,
Mhm.
you could be going through hormonal changes that
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
affects your natural hair. There's so much that
Mm-hmm.
can cause your hair to fall or to not look the way you want it to look. So I think it's really important to like get to become good with what's inside. Um, our grandmothers are wonderful,
Yeah.
but to your example, a lot of damage has been done along the way because they're
Yeah.
coming from this background. And and
Mhm.
when now we're in a different space where we know better, so we're going to do better.
Yeah.
But I really think that the work really starts inside. But then from a practical standpoint, so assuming you've done the work inside or are
Mhm.
working on the inside, I'd say that you probably need two people on your team.
Yeah.
So, Tiffany, you mentioned that you have a natural hairstylist who
Yeah.
has kind of like trained you to look at your hair differently. So I think that's a hair care person.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes like your hair care person, as much as you love them, they may not do braids because they're like, braids
Mm.
take 6 hours. I'm not doing this.
She
So,
doesn't.
I think right there you go. I
She'll
know my
tell you when
people.
she don't want to do it.
I know my people. But it's important to have that person on your team. So it's like, all right, this is the person I go to Brittany for my hair care, and she, does what she makes sure that I'm getting the treatments that I need every 6 weeks or whatever, like
Mm-hmm.
training my hair, helping me to maintain my natural hair. And then I go to Visions Braid Bar for my, my protective styles or the
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
hairstyles that my hair care person doesn't need. So I think, so all in all, three people: a therapist, natural hair care person. And if that person is not the same as your natural hair care stylist, then having someone like that as well.
Awesome. We love
That's
a
perfect.
good dream team.
Yes.
Um,
There you go.
yes. Bridget, any
Yes.
advice?
Yeah, so I'm going to piggyback off of Benta. You have to unpack it. You have to learn why you like, for people who don't necessarily like their hair and cover their hair in wigs, which is not a problem at all. But you have to figure out, why don't you like your natural hair? I would even charge people to do an activity at home where they can be vulnerable and look themselves in the mirror and look at their hair and write down things that they love about their hair and things that they absolutely dislike about their hair. And then from there, see if you do need to talk to someone in the mental health field. Again, having, for me, when I started to grow my hair back, I have two stylists. I have someone that is great with my natural hair, which is my hair is growing and it's so beautiful. And then I have someone who does like the weaves and the blowouts and all the
Mm-hmm.
things. And I pay attention to the times and the seasons and when I can wear certain hairstyles, if that makes sense. For me,
That's
when it's
smart
warm
too. Mm-hmm.
outside, I like to keep my hair braided or, in quick styles where I can get to my scalp because I deal with some irritation sometimes from different products. So, and then that's another thing.
Mm-hmm.
You have to learn what works for your hair. And Benta, of course, already explained that, but you have to know your hair. You definitely have to know your hair.
Have a relationship with your hair, like an actual relationship.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yes. And relationships take work.
And
Mm,
So
relationships
there you
take
go.
work. There you go, people.
that's
Have a
what it is.
relationship with your hair and remember that relationships take work. I'm gonna
Yes.
put that in the tag when I repost the
Right.
video. That's a good one. Don't let me forget that.
Okay.
Awesome. Yeah. So thank you both so much. This has been such an honest, I think, and grounding conversation. I even got some nice little tidbits
Me
myself. So I
too.
always love when I'm a part of the conversation, but I get to learn things too. So I appreciate the way you guys both showed up and were able to share. So before we close, give the people your social media handles so they can find you, they can follow you, and anything else that you have coming up or any products that you just want the people to know about, service offerings, all the things. Binta.
All right. Well, we are Visions Braid Bar everywhere: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, website. And, when I hear people talk about having negative experiences in braiding shops, etc., it really bothers me and hurts me. But that is the reason why I created Visions Braid Bar. It's a space where we aim for to create a positive experience. We aim to redefine the braiding experience. So I hope you give us a try and really see that there can be an alternative. And I think that's also important sometimes. Sometimes when you've had these negative experiences, it's important to have a positive experience. And if you have a series of positive experiences, that helps to kind of
To
shift
reframe it.
back to reframe your mindset. So I hope you try us for that.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Go visit her, Danielle. Yes. That I need to come get braided without trauma and pulsating scalp. That part.
There you go.
Mhm.
Gosh.
That is it.
Bridget, share your things.
Yeah, so my Instagram is b.janelle, Janelle with a G, GENEL underscore, Open Heart Therapeutic Services, which is my private practice. I do individual therapy, group therapy, speaking engagements just like this, panel discussions, the whole nine yards. That is where I bridge the gap between mental health, spiritual health. And I am the creator of the therapy bag. You will find that on my page. I do believe that we have to take care of ourselves outside of our
Yes.
sessions, and that is where the therapy bag comes in. And it has a lot of coping tools, resources, and all the things you need to help you succeed in life. I'm also an author. I wrote a book. It is called It Is Time to
Yes. Well,
Heal. So you can find that on my page as well. Yeah, so I'm so excited. Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you, Vincent, for just having me here,
Thank you.
allowing me to come on your platform and just share some tidbits on
yeah.
how I'm also healing as I'm helping others heal. So I really appreciate it.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Accomplished Black women. I love it. I love it for
Yes, definitely.
us.
Thank you. And I didn't say this, but Tiffany, absolutely. Thank you for sharing your platform and for
Yeah.
orchestrating this conversation and this
Thank
dialogue. And I hope
you.
it's one of many to come.
Of
Hmm.
course, of course. Thank you guys both again, lending your voices, expertise, all the things. Thank you everyone who joined in the live. I hope that you were able to take something away,
Hmm.
or something to carry on the next time you're thinking about your hair care journey. You can follow each of them. I am not the expert on hair. I'm just going to put this disclaimer out. So if after this live you have questions, I will redirect you to the experts here. But if it's a suggestion on the style with an outfit, then I got you. But outside
Yes.
of that, I'm gonna ask them too. So so please follow them. The replay will be available on YouTube soon, so you can revisit, and I'll also post it on my page and tag these young women as well. So thank you guys again. Thank you. Have a great evening. And yeah, good
You.
night. We'll see you guys soon.
Good
Bye.
Right.
night.
Thank you.